Hi, welcome to Inner Abundant Mindset Podcast. I'm Jolynn Philbrick, and today we have a fabulous guest who's going to be talking about energy and how energy affects our lives, especially around our environment and money. So let me tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Dot Claire, and she is a modern-day medicine woman, energy expert for abundant living. And she specializes in sacred ritual and space clearing. So Dot guides and empowers women entrepreneurs to claim their financial independence by enhancing the flow of energy in their workspace to attract wealth and good fortune. Wow, I'm excited. Welcome, Dot.
Well, I'm excited to be here today just to chat with you and to really share some of my love.
Well, I'm really glad you're here. So how did you get this title, Modern Day Medicine Woman?
Well, it kind of pulled itself together because I have been doing energy work and healing for 26 years. And in addition to that, I'm also a nurse. And so I've kind of blended the Eastern and Western tradition together in what I call the modern day medicine woman. So using the things of today's world to help heal the planet and help heal each person as well as their home and environment.
Oh, that is fascinating. I'm so glad you're here, and we all need healers, don't we?
Oh gosh, I wouldn't be here today if I didn't have one myself.
True. So I'm kind of curious, what is energy? Because you call yourself this energy expert. So what is energy?
Well, just to go to the basics, I don't know. Energy is what I consider a vibration. And I'm sure that you're aware of, and our audience is aware of, high vibrations and low vibrations. And so that vibration can actually be calibrated. And so what they say is if you have a really healthy body and a healthy mind, your vibration may be as high as 65 megahertz. But when disease or a sickness sets in, the vibration lowers. And so in order to keep our vibration up, to keep healthy and vibrant and keep that money flowing, the higher our vibration is, the more we're going to have success in the world.
That makes total sense. And so what do you think the movement of energy, you're talking high vibration, low vibration. What do you think the movement is, the difference?
Well, let's give an example. Have you ever walked into somebody's house and all of a sudden you just felt really heavy?
Yeah.
And to me, that means that the vibration in the house is low. So a lot of energy has been lingering. So energy around your thoughts, maybe it's sadness, maybe it's grief, maybe it's anger, lingers in a space. And homes and our environments have a story. And its ability to be able to read that story, because it's more accurate than our mind. So what somebody tells me and what I see when I walk into their home could be very different.
Interesting. So do you have an example of how that would be?
Well, I have had numerous clients that I've worked with, but one in particular of recent is an entrepreneur that was really wanting to get her business going, but she was so distracted because she had moved into this new house and one thing happened after another. First she had a fire, then she had a water leak, then she had an explosion, and then she had the pipes in the backyard, things happened to, at any rate, it went on and on and on. And so she was so distracted from her business, just trying to keep herself afloat. And she ended up asking me to come and clear her energy in her home.
So I have a question before you go into that.
Yeah.
So what popped into my mind, was it her energy that she kept attracting this, or was it the leftover energy from the person that lived there?
It was both. The home was neglected.
What does that mean? How do you neglect a house?
Well, they didn't take care of it. They weren't stewards of their space.
See.
They let it run down. And so they did. And also the family that was in there was going through a divorce.
Oh, yes. A lot
And
of
so
negativity.
right, and a lot of anger energy too. And so
Ah,
all of that energy is stuck there
yeah.
unless you have a clearing. So like for instance, when somebody wants to sell their house
Uh-huh.
and it's just not selling, well, it's because I had a client that I walked into the house and it was all neat and clean. She had gotten rid of all the clutter,
Right.
but it was like this heavy energy. And I found out that her husband had died there, the mother had died there, the dog had died, and the son had a brain tumor.
Oh no.
And
It's
so, yeah, so we cleared the energy. And when she finally did everything I told her to do and lightened it up, she sold her home.
interesting. That makes me think about when I was collecting antiques. I love to go into antique stores, but sometimes I'd walk into these antique stores and I'd feel really heavy and get kind of sad feeling. And I collect the old orange juice squeezers. They're called reamers. Back in the day, you had to,
Mm-hmm.
put this on and make your own orange juice. And I could touch the reamer and tell how much the woman used it, how much she liked it, and how valuable of an item it was in her kitchen just by touching it. So I know energy gets stuck into material things. So if we have something that we're really partial to, and or it's given down to us from family, right? You get this, parents die and they leave you this vase. Well, their energy's in it. So how do we clear that energy, or what do we do so we don't have that lingering energy?
Well, and it was interesting in this case of this client. She didn't like any of the furnishings in the home because her mother had either given it to her or it was her mother's.
Oh,
And so what we did was rename it so that
oh,
she could have a relationship with it. And so we cleared the energy and then we renamed it so that it became hers.
oh, that's a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so oh, I have a really good example. I was given these VIP tickets to go see Steely Dan and the Doobie Brothers. And
Mm-hmm.
so when we got into the arena, there was this private section for VIP. And I noticed the energy was much higher than the regular part of the stadium. And so it took me about 2 or 3 days to figure out what I recognized. And what I recognized was I was in a blocked off area with people that had more money. So my question is, why is the movement of energy increase or decrease around the flow of money?
Well, many of us seem to struggle. One of the greatest stressors in the world right now is lack of money,
Yeah.
and in particular with women. And when I look at their homes or their office, they either don't have one, or they're doing their work on their bed, or
Uh,
so they're not really claiming their business. So there's a stuck energy. So clearing out the clutter. Recently in one of my classes, they showed the before pictures and then we got to see the after pictures, and the woman said she wanted to get really going in her business, and there were books and there were papers and there were boxes and tons of stuff laying in her office. And so she got very diligently busy and cleared the stuff out, but then we had to figure out how to arrange it so that she was standing in her power.
oh, nice. Yeah.
And that made a difference because she felt like she was in control of her business and she was in control of money flow.
Interesting. And so then did money start flowing to her because she made this shift?
Well, what seems to happen is the phone starts to ring and people start asking questions. Because
Nice.
I've got a number of other clients that were in the class, and it's like, after they really made that shift and put themselves in that power position in the
Uh-huh.
office, and they claimed that they had a business, it was no longer a hobby, that shift of mindset as well as shift of space. Because my experience is that when you move your stuff, it's a mirror of who you are. So when you move your stuff, it helps you move into who you want to become.
Interesting.
So yes, there was a shift in money flow, more in terms of clients began to call her. Her energy was attractive, and they started asking questions, and down the line, they did make a purchase.
Oh, great. I've heard this, and maybe you might have some light on this question. I've heard that they say the energy of weight and the energy of poverty, consciousness, or lack is related. What do you think?
Well, I definitely agree. There's a lightness there's a heaviness about weight.
Uh-huh.
And when our mindset also is focusing on not looking good enough or is distracted by the weight, maybe it's even pulling us down energetically, that it's affecting our health. Well, if we shift our thinking, which is part of it, is shifting our thinking and lighten up by letting go of stuff in our space, that has a way of mirroring what we want to bring in. Like, for instance, I'll give you an example. I just gave my bedroom a facelift.
How do you do that?
I got a gorgeous new bedspread that feels very abundant.
Oh, nice.
And it's really soft, and just it's like I needed a lift. My bedroom, even though I know all this stuff about feng shui, it was like I need a change. I'm no longer attached to red.
Oh, yay.
And I moved to aqua.
So I have a bedspread from an old boyfriend.
Oh,
maybe
no.
I should get rid of it. And I can't figure out why he keeps popping back into my life and leaves again and pops in and leaves. If I get rid of the bedspread, he'll leave for good? No.
I don't know. It could be the beginning if you set your intention.
Oh, my goodness. That's funny. I never put two and two together like that. Okay, so I'm going to give my bedroom a facelift and get a new bedspread. Okay, so back to the office and flow with money. So most entrepreneurs have stacks of paper. And for instance, when I wrote my book, I have pieces of let's call it a chapter, a couple pages or thoughts that I didn't put into my book that I'm hanging on to that maybe someday I'll use. So how do I make a decision if this is something worth keeping or I've outgrown it and I'm not going to use it?
I tend to think that if we're needing to remember something, we'll have it when we need it.
Oh, that's a good philosophy.
Versus holding on to the paperwork, because we're going to have reached another level of awareness.
Yes.
Because the past is the past. And so we're going to have a new language for how we express it now versus how it was.
That makes sense.
And so the more I'm able to let go of the past, I've just been ditching papers right and left because I'm a note keeper.
Oh, tell me about it.
And that really, it clutters my files, for crying out loud.
Yes. And I go and buy another little box to hold more papers in it. So now I've got 6 boxes holding paper.
Mm-hmm. Well, you might want to kind of see how much you're willing to let go of, because it's all about exercising the letting go muscles and letting the past be the past.
So by getting rid of something physically, we are emotionally clearing ourselves and mentally clearing ourselves, and we're lightening our energy.
Mm-hmm. And that's what attracts money.
Interesting.
It attracts clients.
Interesting.
It attracts relationships.
Oh, I'll take one of those. So what does an abundant mindset mean to you?
When I hear you ask that question, I'm glad you said to you, because an abundant mindset means something different for everyone. So over the board, somebody might be that they have this beautiful house or this car that they've been dreaming about, or they travel. For me, it's more about being comfortable in my skin, as well as comfortable with what I have. And it's not about, I don't need to make $1 million. But I also know in my heart that money is always there for me. So I have a way of gratitude and belief system that trusts that I'm taken care of financially.
Yes, trust is a very big part, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it's like the breadcrumbs will come to you as long as you take the step and move in that direction. The next breadcrumb or step will appear, but it's all about trusting the process.
Right, right. And I certainly have been in my fear. That's why I work with women around financial matters and releasing their fear of not enough, because I've been there.
Yeah.
You know.
And besides that, they have the fear of success, fear of failure, fear of rejection. I think fear is what stops us from moving forward.
Right. And so, when I work with feng shui, it's all about where are we stuck? What area of our life is holding us back from living life fully?
And how does overwhelm fit into that?
I've just been in that place. It doesn't go away permanently. Doggone it.
Darn.
But it stays a shorter time.
Yes.
It's overwhelm is kind of frenetic activity. And that frenetic activity lingers in your space. So the more we're able to clear our energy as well as our space energy. And, in my classes, I teach people how to do that.
Uh-huh.
And so that they can learn how to, on a regular basis. It's not a one-time deal.
Okay.
that every day there could be a prayer clearing, but, on a monthly basis, because we're never the same person. We are ever changing.
Yeah, that's so true. And I notice for myself, if I get in this mode that I really want to clean something, I go, oh, I'm procrastinating. What am I procrastinating on? And typically it's some huge project I'm working on and I'm stuck in some area. And I go, okay, so if I wasn't procrastinating, how would I do this? And then I just kind of relax and information flows. So procrastination is stuck energy also, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think it's usually resistance, and fear is probably on the underlying issue. And so when I'm in that place, that's why I recently just finally did my garden and gotten rid of all the weeds. When I'm in that mode, I start on the exterior to help the interior. So that's why I, move things in my space that prepares me to move forward.
Interesting. It's really funny is before this interview, I had this desire to scrub the grout in the bathroom. I'm like, oh my God, you're kidding me. I can't do that today. I'm busy. And I've lived here for a couple of years now, and I'm like, why do I want to scrub the grout? And so it's something about knowing we're shifting energy, and cleaning the grout is like opening for something bigger and better, right? Why would I have this wild desire to scrub the grout today?
Well, if you knew a little bit more about the energy of feng shui and space, I believe from being at your home, that grout happens to be in your helpful people area.
Oh.
And so it's interesting that you chose to work on that area in your home. And I don't exactly know what grout means to you, but it's kind of like the space between the tiles.
Yeah.
So what about the space between your next project and where you are?
Oh, yes, because I am shifting projects. You're right.
Yeah.
And I'm having a hard time stepping into this one because it's out of my comfort zone. Mm-hmm. I'm being stretched in a different technology arena. And I'm fighting myself to sit down at my desk and work at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So instead of seeing that as bad, see what you were doing as a step to get where you want to go. So create an intention with that activity.
Uh-huh. So what I have learned is if I set my timer and I said, okay, you only have to work on it for 30 minutes, it's like it takes all the pressure off.
Mm-hmm.
And then I can get in there. Oh, I only have 30 minutes. That's not long. And once I get started, I'm okay. It's the getting started is.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a new intention. I only have to do it for 30 minutes.
Yeah. And then once you get engaged in it, sometimes we end up going longer.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
so true.
Mm-hmm.
That is so true. So what is a tip you could leave our audience for somebody that wants to shift some energy? Just one tip that they could do today to help shift something in their life.
Well, they could begin to look in their closet.
Oh, the closet.
The closet, because that's the hidden part of ourselves,
Oh.
And start letting go of the things that we haven't worn. I usually say in a year, but some people do it 2 years. and to really begin to exercise that letting go muscle and do it with an intention. What do you want to create in your life? What is the purpose of this clearing? It's just not about going through your closet, but what is the, what do I want to manifest? What seed do I want to plant so that 2018 just doesn't go by and I haven't accomplished anything?
Right, right. And my closet's divided into 2 sections. I have one for clothes and shoes, and the other one's art projects. And my art projects is overwhelming, cluttered. It's coming out of the seam work. So my creativity's stuck in the closet.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily stuck in the closet, but it might need some weeding out.
Yes, and some organizing.
And you might be ready to let go of some of the projects, because a lot of times our art projects are based on maybe healing periods in our life.
Uh-huh.
And they may not really have meaning right now. And somebody else might benefit more from them than us hanging on to them.
Interesting. Huh. Well, one of my projects I'm working on is my son wants this famous artist. He paints in yellow, blue, and black squares, or yellow, blue, and red. Mm-hmm. And he wants one of those paintings for his birthday present. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I have to paint in straight lines. It's so tedious, and I have to be rigid and structured. And I thought, why am I given this project? And as I'm painting, I'm learning that in my outer life, the energy I'm learning is how to be structured. I put myself on this 30-day challenge to wake up at a certain time, to exercise and be in the office by 8 and do XYZ. And I'm just learning structure. And so the energy of structure is totally different than flow and flexibility. Wouldn't you say?
Well, I don't know if I would say it was the opposite. It's if we're used to, I'll call it flying by the seat of our pants. If we're used to, following shiny objects here and there and everywhere, the structure helps us to focus. And so that's why the whole part of letting go of our stuff to rearrange our space so that the flow of energy is better through our space, so that it flows better through us, that we do that so that there is some kind of structure. And that structure helps us to have focus and energy and to be able to move forward.
Oh, nice. I love how you put that. Well, if our listeners would love to get a hold of you, do you have a website and a free gift today?
Well, I have a website, and it is .claire, DOTCLAIRE.com. And I'm very open to having a discussion with somebody. So a 40-minute discussion about what their needs are in regards to the energy flow in their space, whether they're stuck in the money or in a relationship, that they need a boost and a change, that we will have a discussion about what their needs are. And that is my free gift to you.
Well, thank you. That's fabulous. And I really appreciate you being on the show today. It's been a lot of fun, and I can't wait to learn more.
Well, it's been fun for me too. You've been very easy to be interviewed by.
Well, thanks. Okay, have a great day.
Bye for now.